So here we are, punters, with our tipster and focus. And look, this week we've got one of the rising stars in the form analyst game, and he's with one of the icons, I think, of Australian racing. Certainly, if you're online, you would have heard of Racenet, one of Australia's favourite racing resources. And we've got Jett Hatton. How are you, Jett?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Getting excited, mate, with the gun racing coming up this weekend.
Oh, mate, how good has it been the last few weeks? I can't wait for Saturday.
Yeah, it's huge. We always unearth these sort of stars. I mean, we're looking at Zakis and so forth, superstars in the making. It's exciting stuff, eh?
Oh, it's great, certainly.
And look, talking about people with gun efforts, Jett Hatton, 30 days, 39% profit on turnover. He's profitable in the quarter. He is flying the flag big and high for the Racenet brand. And look, Jett, we note on the site that you're tipping everywhere and anywhere, whether it's a midweek race meet at Gosford. You've got your weekend winners, which is covering everything from Rosehill to Belmont. And then you've got your country crackers where you're covering race meetings like Gunnedah on the weekend and so forth, mate. I just wonder if you could give punters a bit of an insight as to, how do you actually decide, having to cover all this sort of breadth, which meetings or which races actually you're going to play in and which ones you're not?
Well, normally on a Saturday when we do the weekend winners, we like to tip in the feature races a bit. So I like to give punters sort of a lead of what sort of big races they're going to be and who's the main chances. And I don't mind finding a bit of value in some of those races. So we actually found in the Congo on Saturday. So that was pretty good. The midweek article, it's mostly about finding value. So I like to sort of find those that are underestimated in the market a little bit. Hope, but the country crackers as well. We trying to give a tip for each of the country races on a Saturday. And I normally like to find horses that you might see come through the ranks and may progress into a midweek or a Saturday race, especially in those provincial races in New South Wales. So, yeah.
That sounds great, Jett. Can you give punters a bit of an insight? You spoke to a few things there. You spoke to value. You spoke to sort of horses that are progressing in form and so forth. What sort of tools, analysis do you do to sort of identify the value or identify those that are progressing through, mate?
Well, normally I used to, when I was in the office, when that was open, I'd print out the form guide. So print out all of Racenet's form guide, all the fields and that, because I like to get me pen out and sort of just write down stuff that I know because it sticks in my head a lot more.
Yeah.
But I obviously don't have a printer at the moment, so I've actually been writing it down in a notebook, all the fields and everything, and I'll just try and work out my maps that way. And I've got this tool. It's called Daily Sectionals. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but that has a bunch of tools in it. It's got all the sectionals from almost every meeting and a bunch of other stuff like race pace and IVR rating and all stuff like that. So that's proved pretty handy over the last few years in finding value in horses that may be underestimated by the market.
No, that's great. So a mixture there of doing your own maps, sectionals. Sounds like you're really going through that whole race there and sort of working out where horses are going to be placed from jump through the midsection through to the finish there, Jett.
Yeah, well, I like to sort of just get a grip on myself without sort of looking at the odds or anything, just so I can sort of mark out my own markets and
nice.
And get my own sort of idea of how the race is going to
the market. Jett, look, we have to mention this weekend. It's Epsom Day. It's Turnbull Day at Flemington. Epsom Day at Randwick. We've got the Metrop, Flight Stakes. Look, you can go on and on. I think we used to call this Super Saturday. I don't know if that term's still going around. Anything you've got your eye on early and all in markets, you're forgiven if you haven't, but if there any insight you want to give to punters there early on?
I think it's hard to go past Reed Deeney in the Epsom off his last two runs. Like, he's got a bit of a tricky gate out in Barry 15, but he's got the pace to sort of cross him and lead. And if you look at his last two runs at Weight for Age behind Very Elegant and Think It Over, I think he dropped 7.5 kilos under handicap conditions on Saturday. So I think if he gets a bit of luck out wide and can cross him, he'll be hard to run down. But if there's a bit of rain ahead of Saturday, I think Ice Buff's always in the mix. Her form when she gets her toe on the ground is obviously second to none. And obviously Private Eye's had his eye on the race for a while, and he's a lot better in muddy conditions. And obviously all those races are a bit open on Saturday, but
Yeah.
the Metro, with the way Entente won last Saturday, you'd think he's another that could really put his hand forward. And he's obviously from the same stable as Riadini, and they're flying after Saturday.
Yeah.
Mallory in the Flight Stakes, I thought all 3 runs this time in she's been quite unlucky, and if she draws well and can get a bit of luck, I think she'll be hard to beat, and the mile should suit her as well.
Excellent stuff, Jed. Look, there's some great insights. You got some midweek tips there. Got some early info for the weekend. Look, thanks, Jet. I mean, punters, if you haven't got to Racenet yet, look, it's one of the, if not the best resource for punters on the net. Speed maps, the results section, well laid out. I mean, there's not much, you got your odds checkers. It's really a one-stop shop, isn't it, really? And Jet's one of the rising stars. Jet, thanks very much for your time, mate. And
No problem.
hey,
Thanks for having me.
Good punting through the spring, mate.
Thanks, mate.